I have been on a reading tear, so much so that this Read and the Reviewed isn't going to have 3 titles, isn't going to have 4 titles, is going to have 8 titles in it. So many great books to tell you all about. I cannot wait. So we better get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you guys are doing really well. I hope that your guys' reading year is just wrapping up as well as mine has. I know that I have said that the last half of this year has really been great for me, and I cannot stress that enough because I have really read some really amazing titles. And it has been a bit since I've done a read and review video for you, so I have 8 books to tell you about today, and all of them are worth your time. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you take care of your TBR. Let's get it started. And as always, if you can, please order these books from your local independent bookstore. I think all of these are out. Yes, all of these are out, so you can get your hands on them right now or have your library get you a copy as soon as possible. But we better get started because I don't want this video to be hundreds of hours long. We're going to start with a bit of nonfiction, the phenomenal The Crying Book. Let me hold that up there real quick. By Heather Christle. This is out from Catapult. Just take a moment and really enjoy that cover because it is gorgeous. The Crying Book is a meditation on the idea and the actual physical act of crying. There's a lot of discussion regarding the science, the psychology, the philosophy, the way that it works within sociological ways, but also this is a meditation on the different times in Heather's life that she has cried. And she talks about it in, obviously she's cried a lot more than she can probably fit in this small book, but she talks about momentous points in her life where she cried and how the tears and the sadness and how all of that, and sometimes it's not all sad tears, it's a lot of looking at crying from many different angles. It is, and she's a poet by trade, so this book is very poetic in nature. She has a very poetic tone. At times she will make you laugh, at times she will make you think, and at times she will make you cry. This book is absolutely worth your time, and that is The Crying Book by Heather Christle, out now from Catapult. Let me just hold that cover one more time for you guys. It is so beautiful, so beautiful. The next book was one of my most anticipated reads of 2019 and absolutely did not let down. And that is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. This is my Book of the Month Club edition. I actually met Kevin Wilson and got him to sign the advanced reader's copy at Book Expo America. He is the writer of the book The Family Thing that was out a bit ago and really popular. I think it was turned into a movie with Nicole Kidman, wasn't it? I've also read his book, The Perfect Little World, which I really liked. And I have not read the short story collection. I think he has a short story collection out as well. And the thing about a Kevin Wilson novel is there's always something a little bit farcical. Is that the word? It's just a little bit out there. So what is this? This is the story of 2 young women who meet in prep school. One of them is from a very rich upper-class family, and one of them is at the prep school on scholarship. Something occurs, and one of them has to leave. Years later, the woman who is from the wealthy family is very successful. She has married a senator, and she lives a very successful life. And our main character, who is from the family that was really struggling with money, has really had a rough life since that high school experience. And she gets a call out of the blue from her wealthy friend saying, "Hey, I have a job for you. I need you. Can you come to my home in Tennessee?" And the reason she needs her is because she needs her to watch her 2 stepchildren. 2 children, a boy and a girl, from her husband's first marriage. Her husband is very politically connected. There's discussion that he may be up for a big seat in the cabinet of the presidency. And there is an issue with these 2 children. 2 children. The issue is that they every so often spontaneously combust and catch on fire. They do not hurt themselves, but the fire does hurt other things. So what this turns into is that our main character is hired to sort of be the nanny of these two on the property, in the back of the property, and keep them sort of under wraps as all this stuff comes together. What this book is about, really, in all of its entirety, it is about family and what family means and who you make your family. It's about always feeling on the outside until you feel like you finally found the people that make you feel whole. It is about weird, quirky individuals. There are times that you are laughing your heads off, and there are times when you're just shaking your head going, what is going on? But it is absolutely, absolutely worth it. This is a fun romp of a read, but it also has such heart as it talks about what it means to find people in your life that give you a sense of purpose and a sense of family. Highly, highly recommend. Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. This is out from Ecco Books, and yes, you can get your hands on it now. Really do recommend this. This is actually a great holiday read as well. Okay, one of my other I had so many anticipated reads of 2020. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. And one of them was the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ngan, and that is Girls of Storm and Shadow. This is book 2 in the series, and it was so good, you guys. Now, this has sort of been my go-to. I have two YA go-to fantasy series right now, Natasha Ngan's and the Mirror Visitor Quartet that Europa's put out. I heard the 3rd book comes out sometime early next year, and I cannot wait. That's an aside. This is book 2 in Natasha's series, and it is phenomenal. I'm not going to tell you much about what happens in this book because it can ruin what happens in book 1. But this is a world where we have 3 classes of people. We have the daemons, which are full demon, animal demons. We have a middle group who are the jinn, who I believe are half demon, half human, and then we have the humans, which are considered the lowest class. In book 1, our main character, Leigh, is taken to the king's lair, and she is one of 8 or 9 women who is chosen to be his concubine. All sorts of drama goes down. She meets someone and falls in love. I'm not going to spoil that. If you haven't read book 1, one of the most fantastic YA love stories that I have read, and it has a lot of queer representation in it. It has a lot of strong female kick butt it's so good. And they go on an adventure, and in book 2 the venture continues as they try to figure out how they're going to make the world better. They're not aiming for it better just for the paper or the human class. They want to make it better for everyone, and how that's going to come to fruition. This book is a page turner. These books are both page turners. You will be sucked in to the world, you'll be sucked into the characters, and you will want to know what happens. Book 3 comes out not soon enough, and I cannot wait. And this book broke my heart. I'm going to tell you, there was a whole section of it where I was crying my eyes out, and I did not want to continue because I was upset because one of my characters, I'm not going to say who, she did it to me. She did it to me. So I cannot wait for book 3. This is book 2, Girls of Storm and Shadow. If you haven't read Girls of Paper and Fire, please do. Please do. Please read this whole series because it is fantastic. Okay, if that wasn't a ravey review. Next, we're still going to be talking about some queer representation, but we're going to go to 1977 Uruguay. And that is in Cantoras by Carolina de Robertis, and this is out from Knopf. I was able to meet her. She interviewed Jacqueline Woodson when I saw Jacqueline Woodson speak regarding Red at the Bone, and she was just amazing. And I will say I own this book, and this one is signed by Carolina. Look at that, lovely. I actually listened to this on audio while I was traveling, and Carolina reads it, and she is so good. So this book starts in 1977 Uruguay. It's the story of 5 women who come to the coast to this little tiny town where there's no electricity, no anything really. They are sort of trying to find their place because there are 5 queer women who are all at different points in sort of their coming out of their own sexuality. And all 5 characters are so fully developed and so well-rounded that you will be really involved in all 5 of their lives. And the book moves forward from 1977 on as they grow up, as they sort of go through different relationships, but also as Uruguay changes. It is under quite a totalitarian regime at the beginning in the 1977s. I learned a lot about Uruguayan history in this book. And yeah, they are under like sort of this military regime that people just disappear, people are taken away to jail, sometimes they never come back, and these women are really living their life in fear, but they find this place where they can go and be themselves. And things happened. There was one point where one of the characters was taken away, and I literally stopped reading. I tweeted to Carolina on Twitter. I was like, if something happens to her, I am not going to be happy. And yeah, I was truly invested in every single one of these women's lives. She's got just a great sort of tone. I would say that if you are into those books that are sort of like family sagas, along the lines of Pachenko, you know, where you start with a group of people and you just go through time with them. I use Pachenko as a litmus test for a lot of these books. And Carolina de Robertis' book, Cantoras, is right up there, just telling an amazing, amazing story. And this book just won the Reading Women Award for 2019. So yeah, if you don't only want my recommendation, there you go. Autumn and Kendra give you theirs as well. So this is Cantoras by Carolina de Robertis, and it is amazing, amazing. And if you guys are looking for books about queer representation in the past and all of that kind of stuff, I know that there are a lot of people on my channel that look for that. Bicycle Sarah, I'm looking at you. That book is definitely worth your time. I needed a palate cleanser though after that, and that was because I had read a lot of heavy stuff and I wanted something just a little bit more fun. So I read Little Witches, Magic and Conquered by Leigh Dragoon. I'm gonna hold that up. This is out from, it's a little graphic novel. Let me see if I can, Ani Press. Now, this is a retelling, a reimagining of the Little Women story if the Little Women were witches. And this is what happens is these people move in next door, just like in the book, and it turns out that they are sort of investigators into crimes of magic. Cows have been dying in this little town, and they have come in because they're investigating that, and it's just sort of that drama of all of that. It has all of the stuff that you remember from Little Women. The book is cute, it's sweet. It doesn't resolve very well. It kind of leaves you hanging. And because if you know Little Women well, so I've read Little Women, I think 3 times. I think there's a little bit of a letdown. I think that you want a little bit more of the richness of Louisa May Alcott's story into the graphic novel. It's fine. It's fun. It's entertaining. It took maybe 2 hours to read. And that was mainly because I was putting it down or just staring sort of at the artwork, which I do think the artwork is rather beautiful. But it just left me wanting a little bit more than it gave me. But I enjoyed it. So that's Little Witches, Magic and Conquered by Leigh Dragoon, and that is out now. I know I got this advanced reader's copy also at Book Expo America this year. Okay, 3 more books. This book was shortlisted for the National Book Award for YA fiction, and that is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. I'm so worried every time I say their name. It just stresses me out. I want to say it so perfectly, but I will tell you that they are a force to be reckoned with. If you haven't read Freshwater, you must. That book was a real struggle for me because it really challenged me as a reader. But as I have thought about it going down the time since I've read it, I recognize what a brilliant piece of work it is. And Pet is an amazing YA novel. This is the story of Jam. Jam is a young woman. Look at her right there. I just love this cover too. And she's a young trans woman. And I love how this book handles that. And I'm gonna let you dive into it because I really want you to be blown away by the artistry that this book takes to handle many different topics. But basically what we are, Jam lives in a world where monsters have disappeared, they were conquered by angels, and her community is run by angels. Everyone is led to believe that monsters have gone away. One day, her mom paints a painting, and in some sort of magical way, I'm not going to give it away, the monster comes out of the painting and says that they are there to hunt another monster that's in the town. Now, her parents are aware that this monster comes out of the painting, and they don't believe it. They say that they believe that the angels have killed and destroyed all the monsters, and they believe that this monster is not telling the truth. Now, Jam is the only person, because of how the monster came into fruition, who has control over it. But she has been told that the monster is living in the house of her best friend, and she needs to help destroy that monster. And then it becomes a tale of trying to figure out who the monster is. This is a dark book. It deals with some heavy topics. This is a book for a mature reader, a mature YA reader, just someone who is more sophisticated in tone and language. But this is a book that a lot of people should read because it really tackles a lot of amazingly difficult or amazingly challenging topics in a beautiful, beautiful way. So much, so much. Yeah, she's a great writer. I'm sorry, they're a great writer, I apologize. And they really are challenging the form, both in fiction and in YA fiction, and it's amazing. So that is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, and that's what I'm gonna hold up there just so you can look at that amazing cover real quick. And I highly, highly recommend it. Okay, second to last. This video is turning out to be a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. I went to an event at one of my favorite independent bookstores up in Oakland, East Bay Booksellers, to see Jami Attenberg talk about her new novel, All This Could Be Yours. And it was very small, only a few of us attended, so Jami sat in a little circle with us, and I was so writer crushed by the end, absolutely adored her. Check her out on Twitter because she has an adorable, adorable dog as well. And you know how I am about my dogs. I love myself some dogs. So All This Could Be Yours is the story of a family that has a patriarch that we know from the very beginning is not a good person. At the very start, first few pages, he has a medical emergency and winds up in a coma, and it is expected that he is not going to survive. This then becomes the story of that family and their reaction and the history they have had with the father. We have the mother, who has not only been sort of a victim of the father, but at times has been complacent in his sort of villainy. And her self-esteem sort of struggles to escape from him, feeling that she's in this and she doesn't know what else to do with her life. We have the daughter, who is the oldest, who has used this opportunity to try to figure out what her father really has been into. She wants to know all the deep, dark family secrets. And then we have a son who is in the movie making business or the TV making business, who has been in New Orleans, where the book takes place, for quite some time, but he has now returned to LA to try to figure out what he wants to do with his career. He's sort of a lost soul. He is married to sort of the fifth main character of the book. His wife is just a very crazy, phenomenal, odd character. I don't know how to describe her, other than at times she had me laughing, at times she had me crying, at times I totally understood her, and at times I was blown away by her decisions. All of these characters are flawed, but flawed in such a way that there is such a sense of reality to it. What else Jami does amazingly is she'll have these sort of side characters where one of the main characters will run into someone, and then we'll get a little insert into that person's life. They are as equally entertaining and or interesting as the main storyline. I could have seen books about these people as well. Jami really talked about how she wants to create people that are real and believable, and she wants people to enjoy her books for the story and the people that they meet in them. And Kirkus on the beginning says that she is the poet laureate of difficult families. which absolutely makes 100% sense. I loved this book. I loved it, and yeah, I really, really highly recommend it. And that's All This Could Be Yours by Jami Attenberg. So yeah. Okay, last but not least is a book that I have been putting off because I knew it was going to be tough, because it handled some tough subject matter. But it is freaking brilliant. And that is You Will Be Safe Here by Damian Barr. This is out in the US from Bloomsbury. You can see, whoo, there you go. Bloomsbury. And I actually met Damian at Book Expo America as well. And he wrote in my book. And yeah, he's a bookish crush for a completely different reason. This is the story. It's sort of the story of a story that is set in South Africa, told in 3 parts. It starts as a journal for a woman, a Boer woman, who is put into a concentration camp during the Boers Wars in South Africa, where the English invaded and literally put the population in these camps. Now, I didn't know a lot about the Boers War. I've heard about it. I have seen it in brief mention, but this book definitely tackles, I think, something that the world doesn't know a ton about. And the horrible situation, the concentration camps that these people were put in, the illness, the way they were treated not as poorly as other concentration camps, but they were treated pretty horribly. And there's a lot of that. And it's told from the point of view, this journal is point of view of this woman who is sent there with her son while her husband is still out fighting war. Then we move into a more modern time period where we sort of get another perspective about a family and a mother and a daughter and sort of how they come into fruition. And then finally, the last section is the story of the son of the daughter, and he is sent to a camp in order to make him more of a man, and sort of the atrocities that happened there at the camp. That story, the story of a little boy who was sent to a camp like this, was the inspiration for this book. And it is heart-wrenching, that ending section. Actually, a lot of this book is really, really heart-wrenching. It deals a lot with race. It deals a lot with sort of the racism before Nelson Mandela became the president. Apartheid is a big part of it, the people who were not interested in the integration of the races in South Africa. It deals with tough topics. It deals with people who are struggling to be their own individuals. And by the end of it, it will rip your heart out, but it is beautifully, beautifully written. So much lyrical language. Yeah, and it was worth every single page, and it broke my heart, and I'm so glad I read it. So that's You Will Be Safe Here by Damian Barr. This is out by Bloomsbury here in the United States. And I was just going to say, this book is blurbed by Amy Bloom, Garth Greenwell, Maggie O'Farrell, all on the back of the book. Yeah, so if you don't trust me, trust them. Totally worth your time. So that was a much longer read and reviewed than usual. Normally I do 3 books. This was 8 books. I'm trying to get them in a stack here on my lap. All of these worth reading for completely different reasons, but every single one of them 100% should wind up on your TBR. As always, if you are a return subscriber, I thank you so, so much. If you are new to my channel, thank you for sticking around. I hope you come back for another video. As always, I encourage you to shop locally, read globally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye!